Right, welcome back everyone. Today we're talking about Kawasaki's W230 and why I won't be buying one. I will not be investing my own money in this motorcycle, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So firstly, let me just show you the picture. We have a new retro lightweight motorcycle from Kawasaki, obviously styled with a 1960s design. Lovely little design features like teardrop fuel tank, little chrome plated engine there, 233 cc's, proper steel mudguards, spoke wheels, big round headlights, twin analog clocks, single exit, lightweight chrome exhaust, chrome mudguard at the back, round lighting, and a big a big single bench seat. So this thing looks the part, it looks stunning. However, there are some serious questions I got with this bike, and my gut feeling is that it's going to flop. I'm going to tell you why I think it's going to flop. Firstly, the capacity, 233 cc's. Now it's a bit of an odd capacity, and you won't really have a big array of bikes that are between 125 and about 300, 350 here in the UK. There's sort of a no man's land where manufacturers don't import bikes of this capacity. The reason is that it's the UK motorcycle licensing system, is if you get a CBT certificate, standing for compulsory basic training in riding a bike, you can then ride a motorcycle up to 125 cc's and I think it's 14.7 horsepower power output. Now manufacturers know this, so up until 125 they make all sorts of bikes, sports bikes, cruisers, retros, scramblers, nakeds. It's very well catered for because there's a lot of people out there who, scooters especially, a lot of people out there who want to ride 125. They don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of the advanced test certificate, pass that A2 license. So they just get the CBT, it has to be renewed every 2 years. You just do the test again, it's easy. And then you've got an array of bikes to choose from. And you can get a bike that puts out just shy of 15 horsepower. The bike's usually lightweight, so for city work or doing food deliveries, they're fine. When you get your full license, you can ride 125cc all the way up to 200 horsepower monster, if you're old enough, and I think you have to be 23 or older, something like that. So if I was to pass my test today, the full test, I could ride a 200 horsepower Fireblade straight off the bat, which is kind of stupid, but that's the way it is. So what's the incentive for people who've done the rigmarole of the full license to ride a 200cc motorcycle? Because it's not really any better than the 125cc in terms of the power output. It's 3 horsepower more, and that sector, the 125cc, is already very populated, it's already very competitive. There's a lot of good options at 125cc. So if I'm the full motorcycle license holder, then I think, well, I still want to be lightweight, but I'm going to go for the 300 or 350. I've got a nice lightweight bike, I've got a little bit of power, I've got 30 horsepower. Or if I'm Royal Enfield, I've got 20 horsepower, but I've got 20 pound-feet of torque, so I can do all my stuff like my pillion riding, I can have luggage on the back, I can go up hills, I can go into headwinds. It'll do all that good stuff because you've got the little bit of a bumping capacity. 350, 400, that's the sweet spot. You're still lightweight, but you've got that power to nip around. When we're at 200, we're in this awkward land where we're not much better than 125. We're susceptible to all those things I just said, like the headwinds, pillion weight, carrying anything on the back. That's the one major problem. Now, the other major problem is price. This little retro is priced at none other than 4,654 of the King's English pounds. Now that is, in my mind, that is a mental price. Now think of it. I know a lot of us, we buy bikes on what they look like, but it's also like, if you imagine like a spider diagram, you can't just have looks and then that being up here at 10 and then performance, pricing, reliability, all those being at 3. You know, a motorcycle has to be kind of a balanced offering that sort of really is like averages in all categories, or maybe slightly skewed towards performance or skewed towards good pricing, but it has to compete at the rest. Now, what they've done here is they made something that looks brilliant, but it's going to score low on performance and it's going to score low on value for money. And so if this was going to sell, bear in mind that everybody's got in their head 350cc Royal Enfields are 20 horsepower and 20 pound-feet of torque. This is 10% lower on power, but like 35% lower on torque, which is important for riding up hills and stuff, as we said. It would need to come in, I think, honestly, at 2,999 for people to competitively buy it here in the UK, given the fact that the Chinese are now in causing chaos. Royal Enfield and BSA are doing great pricing, especially if you buy from MotoGP. The landscape just isn't set up for this bike to flourish at the moment. Now, it could be that it's just a box ticking exercise and they brought in the 230 just to have something new in the showroom. They don't expect it to sell well. Maybe somewhere like the Philippines or Japan, where they've got higher taxes based on 200cc, 300cc, 400cc. It's prohibitively more difficult to afford a bike when it gets above 300 and 400cc. Maybe it's targeted at those markets, but no one in the UK is going to get excited about this bike because of the pricing. They're going to think, if they're price sensitive, they're going to think, well, I could buy a Bantam 350. Yeah, we'll admit, probably as nice as this. We could buy a Bantam 350 for £3,500, or this for 4,654. Or we could buy a Meteor for 3,200 from MotoGP, or a nearly new Meteor for 2,900. So that's your Royal Enfield and your BSA option. You've got Honda's GB350, also Japanese, also stylish, nice colours, also with a 350cc engine and that corresponding bump in power and torque for £4,000. Some 125s are £5,000. It doesn't necessarily mean that small capacity can't command that price, but it's the fact that full license holders will be going for this bike, and full license holders have the choice of, for example, a Royal Enfield Interceptor, £5,000. They could buy a nearly new BSA Gold Star for £5,000. That's if you're competing on price. You're going to get a way more performing, way more capable, way more versatile motorcycle for that investment. I honestly don't think it's going to sell. I think it's going to be like the W800. People are going to go, oh, that's lovely. They're going to say, that's the most authentic retro, but they won't put their hand in their pocket and buy one. And what's the point of being a motorcycle manufacturer if you're bringing bikes to market that no one's going to buy? I just think it's a shame. If they brought in at 2,999 introductory and then bumped it up to 3,399 on a mainstream pricing, it could be class. But yeah, it's not going to sell. Let me know what you think, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.